The year is 1900. America stands on the cusp of a new century, a nation brimming with confidence and ambition. Yet, a silent threat lurks in the shadows, a microscopic enemy poised to unleash chaos and fear across the land. This is the story of a forgotten plague, a terrifying chapter in American history that nearly brought the nation to its knees. While the specter of diseases like smallpox and cholera haunted the collective memory, a new and insidious foe emerged from the bustling ports of the Pacific: bubonic plague. Arriving on ships from the Far East, the plague found fertile ground in America's burgeoning cities, where crowded conditions and poor sanitation provided ample breeding grounds for the disease-carrying rats. The initial outbreak, centered in San Francisco, sent shockwaves through the nation, exposing the vulnerabilities of a society on the verge of modernity. What followed was a desperate struggle for survival, a race against time to contain the deadly pathogen before it could claim countless lives and leave an indelible scar on the American psyche. The bubonic plague, a disease with a fearsome reputation, had ravaged civilizations for centuries. Caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, the plague primarily affected rodents, with fleas acting as the primary vectors for transmission. Humans typically contracted the disease through flea bites, leading to a gruesome and often fatal illness characterized by swollen lymph nodes, fever, chills, and in its most severe form, a painful death from septicemic shock. The plague's journey to America's shores can be traced back to the late 19th century, originating in China and spreading rapidly through trade routes to other parts of Asia. As ships laden with goods and unsuspecting passengers traversed the Pacific, they unknowingly carried stowaway rats infected with plague-carrying fleas. In 1894, the plague reached Hong Kong, a major port city and a gateway to the United States. From there, it was only a matter of time before infected ships would arrive on the West Coast, setting the stage for a public health crisis that would test the limits of American resilience. The first confirmed case of bubonic plague in the United States occurred in San Francisco in March 1900. A Chinese immigrant, Chick Gin, was found dead in the basement of a hotel in Chinatown. His death, initially attributed to unknown causes, soon proved to be the harbinger of a devastating epidemic. As more cases emerged, panic gripped the city. The plague spread rapidly through San Francisco's densely populated neighborhoods, particularly Chinatown, where unsanitary living conditions and a large rat population exacerbated the outbreak. The disease struck indiscriminately, afflicting men, women, and children from all walks of life. Fear and misinformation fueled prejudice and discrimination. Chinese immigrants, already facing widespread racism and xenophobia, became scapegoats for the epidemic. Public health officials, influenced by prevailing racist attitudes, targeted Chinatown with draconian quarantine measures, further marginalizing and stigmatizing the Chinese community. Section 4. The fight begins. Early efforts and the rise of public health. Faced with a growing public health crisis, San Francisco's authorities scrambled to contain the outbreak. Initial efforts, however, proved to be disorganized and ineffective. The city's political leaders, more concerned with preserving San Francisco's image and economic interests, downplayed the severity of the epidemic and resisted implementing strict quarantine measures. However, as the death toll mounted, the true extent of the threat became undeniable. Public pressure forced the city to take more aggressive action. A team of dedicated doctors, scientists, and public health officials, led by the pioneering bacteriologist Joseph J. Kinyoun, worked tirelessly to identify the source of the outbreak and develop strategies to combat it. Kinyoun, who had studied in Europe and was familiar with the latest scientific advances in bacteriology, correctly identified the plague bacillus as the culprit. He advocated for a multi-pronged approach to fighting the epidemic, emphasizing the importance of rat control, improved sanitation, and public education. Section 5. Innovation and resistance. Battling the plague on multiple fronts. Combating the plague required a multifaceted approach that combined scientific innovation with public health measures. Recognizing the crucial role of rats in spreading the disease, authorities implemented a massive rat eradication campaign. Buildings were fumigated, streets were cleaned, and rewards were offered for dead rats, leading to a significant decline in the rodent population. Public health officials also focused on improving sanitation and hygiene. Garbage disposal was improved, sewers were inspected and repaired, and public awareness campaigns emphasized the importance of hand washing and other hygiene practices. These efforts, while challenging to implement, proved crucial in curbing the spread of the plague. Despite the progress made, the fight against the plague was not without its challenges. Resistance to public health measures, fueled by misinformation and fear, hampered efforts to contain the outbreak. Some residents refused to cooperate with quarantine orders, while others questioned the effectiveness of public health interventions. Section 6, Scars on the City, Echoes in Time, The Enduring Legacy. By 1904, after 3 years of relentless effort, the San Francisco plague outbreak was finally declared over. The epidemic claimed over 100 lives, a relatively small number compared to historical plague pandemics. However, the impact of the outbreak extended far beyond the immediate death toll. The San Francisco plague left an indelible mark on the city's social, economic, and political landscape. The epidemic exposed the inadequacy of the city's public health infrastructure and highlighted the plight of marginalized communities. It also fueled xenophobia and racism, particularly towards Chinese immigrants, who continued to face discrimination and prejudice long after the outbreak subsided. The lessons learned from the San Francisco plague had a profound impact on the development of public health in the United States. The outbreak spurred the creation of new public health agencies, the implementation of stricter quarantine measures, and a greater emphasis on scientific research to combat infectious diseases. Section 7. Faded Memories, Vital Lessons, Why We Must Remember. Over a century after the San Francisco plague, the memory of this terrifying chapter in American history has faded from public consciousness. The disease, once a source of widespread fear and panic, is now often relegated to history books and academic journals. However, it is precisely because of these complexities and the enduring lessons they offer that we must remember the San Francisco plague. The story of the plague serves as a stark reminder of the ever-present threat